I will tell you how to transform this into this. This ultimate Yasuo guide is all you ever need to make your enemies tremble under your mighty sword.
One step ahead of the past.
Yasuo playstyle breakdown. Yasuo is a melee champion commonly picked for the mid lane and sometimes the Baron lane, although I highly don't recommend the latter. In the early game, he may struggle to last hit minions due to the advantage of long-ranged mid laners who often bully Yasuo. However, once he reaches level 5 and unlocks Last Breath, his ultimate, things get interesting. By stacking his Steel Tempest ability, he can unleash a powerful tornado. With this tornado, Yasuo can knock up enemies for potential solo kills or roam the map to find opportunities to assist his team in securing kills. Yasuo synergizes extremely well with champions who have knock-up abilities, such as Malphite, Rakan or Alistar, as his ultimate Last Breath allows him to blink to an airborne enemy champion and perform his deadly combo. However, Yasuo's biggest weakness is his squishiness, so every time you position yourself wrongly, you'll have to pay the price. Abilities. Yasuo's passive, Way of the Wanderer, doubles his critical strike chance and grants him a shield whenever he is moving. The shield activates when he takes damage from a champion or a monster, and when his blue bar, Flow, is full. His first ability, Steel Tempest, thrusts him forward, damaging all enemies in a line. On hit, Yasuo gains a stack of Gathering Storm for a few seconds. At 2 stacks, Steel Tempest fires a tornado that knocks enemies airborne. Steel Tempest is treated as a basic attack and scales with the same factors. His second ability, Wind Wall, creates a moving wall that blocks all enemy projectiles for 4 seconds. The wall size increases with the ability's level. Yasuo's third ability, Sweeping Blade, allows him to dash through the target enemy, dealing magic damage. Each cast increases the basic damage of his next dash up to a maximum amount. The ability cannot be recast on the same enemy for a few seconds. If Steel Tempest is cast while dashing, it will strike in a circle. Finally, the ultimate, Last Breath. Yasuo blinks to an airborne enemy champion, dealing physical damage and suspending all airborne enemies. The ability grants maximum flow and resets all stacks of Gathering Storm. For a moderate duration afterwards, Yasuo's critical strike gains significant bonus armor penetration. Itemization and runes. So what should you build for Yasuo? Let's start by hitting the like button, of course. Thank you. Okay, now we're good to go. Yasuo excels with attack damage builds, and critical strike chance is particularly beneficial as it is doubled by his Way of the Wanderer passive ability. His core items are Solari Charge Blade and Blade of the Ruined King. Immortal Shield Bow is usually favored as a third item, providing better survivability with its passive, Lifeline, which grants a shield when health falls below 35%. The fourth item is situational. You can go for Infinity Edge to increase your critical strike rate even further, excellent against squishy champions. Or Mortal Reminder as your fourth item, if the enemy team has healers, like Yuumi, Nami or Soraka. Divine Sunderer is another viable option for Yasuo as it provides ability haste and bonus damage after using abilities. Feel free to experiment and find the build variation that suits you best. The final item for Yasuo is Guardian Angel. Ideally you won't want to use it, but as mentioned before, Yasuo is vulnerable and can be eliminated quickly if positioned poorly, so better to be safe than sorry. Now for runes, Lethal Tempo is a perfect choice. Playing as Yasuo, your aggressive playstyle involves frequent attacks while dashing in to deal damage. This allows you to rapidly stack Lethal Tempo. Once fully stacked, you unleash a powerful burst of attack speed, enabling Yasuo to deal significant damage while reducing the cooldown of Steel Tempest. Brutal is also a usual choice as it adds even more attack damage. Bone Plating is useful for Yasuo since he constantly dashes in to deal damage, making him a prime target for enemies. To increase his survivability, Bone Plating comes in handy by reducing damage taken from the first 3 instances of damage. This defensive measure allows Yasuo to live longer in teamfights and remain relatively safe during his early laning phase. Lastly, Sweet Tooth is ideal for low health or low mana situations in Yasuo's laning phase. It provides health and mana from Honey Fruit as well as bonus gold. For summoner spells, Flash and Ignite are the best choices for Yasuo. Early and late game strategies. Now, what should you do during the early and late game phases with Yasuo? Well, certainly not this or this. Yasuo faces early game challenges due to being a melee champion. It's usually best to play defensively and let the enemy push the minion wave toward your turret. Take advantage of your passive shield ability to approach minions without taking health damage when your flow is fully charged. It's also useful to last hit minions with your first ability, as it allows you to maintain some distance from your enemy opponent. Once you reach level 5, consider attempting kills in your lane. But if opportunities in the mid lane are limited, try roaming to the side lanes and utilizing your ultimate there. In the late game, focus on key targets, especially high priority champions like squishy carries on the enemy team. Utilize your mobility and burst damage to eliminate these targets quickly. Be mindful of your positioning and avoid getting caught. Yasuo's second ability, Wind Wall, is crucial in teamfights, as it can block enemy abilities such as stuns, roots, and powerful ultimates. Time it well to block important enemy abilities and protect your team. Look for opportunities to engage in teamfights with your ultimate ability Last Breath. Keep an eye on your team to set up effective combos with crowd control and knock up abilities from champions like Malphite, Alistar, Nami, Vi, etc. Remember, late game success as Yasuo often comes down to positioning, decision making, and teamwork. Now let's briefly discuss who is the best and worst against Yasuo. The worst champions to pick against Yasuo are Veigar, Zoe, Ahri, Kayle, Teemo, and Aatrox. These champions are weak against Yasuo at various stages of the game. If you want to counter Yasuo successfully, consider playing Karma, Kassadin, Annie, Garen, Singed, or Set. These champions are strong against Yasuo and have the highest win rates in matchups against him. And before you leave, I want to invite you to my Discord server, where you can chat with other members of our Wild Rift community, share your gaming moments, find unexpected Wild Rift leaks, and much more. Come join us! The link is in the description below. Also, don't forget to watch this video next, and I'll see you in the next one.